What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Bob Morton on the Blue and Gold YouTube channel. Very excited about this. Some of you are like, oh my gosh, I know Bob Morton. This is awesome. Maybe you know him from his appearances on Inside ND Sports. Of course, Eric Hansen and Tyler James, who now are with Blue and Gold. Maybe you know him from his time playing at Notre Dame, and we may or may not have a clip to look at from his time playing at Notre Dame. Eric said it was okay, Bob.
Great. Thanks, Eric.
Bob, I am so excited to have him with us at Blue and Gold, and he is going to be doing this show with me each and every week. This will move to the Tuesday slot, but this moved pretty fast with Bob joining us at Blue and Gold, and I couldn't be more excited about this. Folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. Of course, go to blueandgold.com for your home for all things Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. This show is brought to you by Academy Sports and Outdoors. The tailgate season is here, folks, and nobody's going to get you ready for game day like Academy Sports and Outdoors. Swing by your local store, which there is one opening in Mishawaka at the end of September, or you can shop online at academy.com to find everything you need, from grills to jerseys and more. Be a watch party legend with gear from top brands like Nike and Under Armour, all at unbeatable prices every day with 8 stores across Indiana. And like I mentioned, that new store coming in Mishawaka. Fun can't lose, and neither can you. So gear up today at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Eric, I was going to...
So you're muted, and I don't think I am, but I'm Bob.
I am. Okay. I accidentally muted myself. So I'm really struggling. I've been on phone calls all week. I feel like I haven't gotten any writing done. I've just been making calls, and half the calls have been with Eric. So I feel like I've talked to Eric like all day, every day. So Bob, I did want to save this for A&M week, but we have to do this now. So I really want folks to get to know who Bob Morton is, starting with your recruiting journey, which did include Notre Dame's home opener opponent. So, Bob, tell us about your recruiting process. You're from McKinney, Texas, and you did consider a team from the Lone Star State before ultimately committing and signing with the Irish in the 2002 class.
Yeah, so I mean, not even just considering Texas A&M. I committed to Texas A&M, my junior year, before my junior year of high school, and there weren't a lot of reasons that I loved College Station. The one reason was 5'2" and a blonde cheerleader in McKinney, Texas. And so that was the reason why I was going to kind of stay a little closer to home. When that went the path, as high school relationships do, I didn't even really fully open up my recruitment journey. I'd been in conversations with Greg Madison, who was the defensive line coach and recruiter in Texas.
We've had him on this show.
Greg and I had been in a long series of conversations. I found out my mom had been kind of slipping him information. So every time he talked to me, it was like this sign from God that Notre Dame was where I needed to be. I was tricked. I was trapped into going to Notre Dame. But it was really a trap to fulfill a dream that I'd had ever since I was a kid. So I could not be more thankful to my late mother, who tricked me into coming to South Bend and really making a life here, because I'm back at the university now working.
Which we will get to in a little bit. Your time now with Notre Dame. So when you played at Notre Dame from 2002 to 2006, I would have been from 2nd to 6th grade.
Awesome.
But
great, thanks for that.
Yeah, sorry. And the picture I used on the thumbnail of this video was you celebrating. I'm pretty sure there's 2 pictures on USA Today of you celebrating. One, I think I picked the one for you celebrating after beating Georgia Tech, and that was 2005 or 2000. That was 2006.
Would have been 2006. Yep.
On the road, 14-10. Mike Singer in 6th grade, I grew up in Atlanta, and I picked Georgia Tech as my favorite team because all my friends were Georgia fans, and it just pissed me off. Fair. So as you were celebrating, little did you know there was a 6th grader 30 minutes south crying his eyes out that you would eventually do a YouTube show with, Bob.
Listen, One of the things that I am is I'm a storyteller, but I'm going to let you know why I deserve that game more than you did as a sixth grader.
Okay.
That was one of the really special moments for me. Everybody has their opinion of Charlie Weiss, but 3 weeks before that game, my dad, Bob Morton Sr., had actually passed away from a very fast and raging battle with stomach cancer. And so I flew home to be with family and for memorial service and everything, and actually met the team in Atlanta. And Charlie basically told me an hour before the game, hey, you're going to start. And if you suck really bad the first play, I'm going to pull you. And I went in. It was my 5th year. I got the start. He was going to give me a little more time to recover. And I kind of had the game of my life a little bit. And Chinedu Ndukwe, absolutely took the head off of Calvin Johnson there in the middle of the field, and we came out with a victory. So as much as I hate making sixth graders cry, I'm pretty happy that I wound up on the top end of that one.
Yeah, it was a fun game from what I remember about it. Yeah, Calvin Johnson, that was a fun season. With him, but yeah, left more to be desired. Just that in season in general for the Yellow Jackets. Okay, so yeah, let's talk about your career with the Fighting Irish. So I mean, dude, ChatGPT, by the way, did a really good job researching you. By the way, I
We'll
was
see.
like,
We'll see how well
I was like, I can save myself time and just see what ChatGPT got. So, 2002, you redshirted. 2003, won the starting center job. Started in all 11 games that you played. 2004 junior season, moved to guard. 2005 veteran starter. Of course, Brady Quinn led offense. Fiesta Bowl season, January 2006, and then starter on that 10-3 team that reached the Sugar Bowl in 2006. So, yeah, I mean, how many games did you start in your Notre Dame career, Bob?
Yeah, so I'm one of the few people that gets moved. I was kind of the Swiss Army knife. I played a lot of different positions along the offensive line, but I started the beginning of each season. That 4th year, so that 05 year, we actually kind of had a rotation. So at the beginning of the year, I was the starting center. Dan Santucci was the starting left guard. Stevenson was the right guard. As the season went on, I ended up coming the guy who would rotate through all positions. John Sullivan established himself as the starting center. So I think my numbers are somewhere like I think I played in like 44 or 47 games, and I started like 39 of them. It's something like that. So played a lot of football. Some would say some of it was pretty good, but I think that the nice thing for me is nobody has to think of me when they think of number 76 now. Like we've had Joe Alt come and take that number to new heights, and I'm very happy to just let him have it.
Yeah, I absolutely love it. And when I was, reading up on you, Bob, like I did see an Eric Hansen article in the South Bend Trib talking about like your decision to not really pursue professional football afterwards. Tell me about that.
Yeah, well, I would say Eric's probably Eric's been a friend for a long time, and that's probably why our friendship has stayed, is because he told that story from that perspective. I'd had a really good run, and one of the great things about that team at the time is you had Charlie Weiss, who was a really established offensive coordinator in the NFL prior to coming to Notre Dame, and he had a lot of conversations about his linemen. He'd had conversation about me. And so because I could play all the positions across the board, felt like I was pretty well established as a mid-late round pick. If not, I would have, gone and fought as a free agent. When my dad passed before the first game of the season, it just really changed my perspective. I was living my dream. I was playing Notre Dame football. Story I like to tell is like Neil Armstrong dreamt of being a pilot and then went beyond the sky. I dreamt of, just going to Notre Dame, and I got to live that dream by playing Notre Dame football. I didn't have a dream of wearing another helmet that wasn't gold. And so, I've been fortunate to be able to say goodbye to football and not have it say goodbye to me. But I think if you look back at some of the, the scouting profiles and maybe some of the film of that 5th year, you'd realize that, my time was coming to a close. If not at the end of that 5th year, football might have left me behind a few years after. So I just did the thing that made a better article for Eric.
Okay, so would you graduate with what was like your professional career
Yeah, yeah.
after leaving Notre Dame?
Graduated with a degree in accounting. My grad year pursued some theology courses, but didn't graduate with anything in addition from Notre Dame. Went back to school a couple years later to get my master's of ministry and theological studies from Bethel College in Mishawaka, which is nearby. Spent 12 years around Indiana as a pastor in various ways in the non-denominational churches or affiliated with the missionary church, of which Bethel College is a part. So spent 12 years working in the church and trying to make a difference in people's lives that way. And then 2018 pivoted back, came back home to Notre Dame, where I work as a director of development, trying to make this place a little less expensive to go to. And some would argue I'm not doing a very good job at that either.
So you're from McKinney, Texas, which is a DFW suburb, correct?
Yep.
So you've just been in Indiana. I mean, obviously you have a family, so I mean, you've just been in the Hoosier State since.
Yeah, one of the things about me is I was kind of play acting like I was from Texas. So I grew up outside of Boston, Massachusetts. And it wasn't until my 8th grade summer into 9th grade that I moved to Texas. Now, listen, like I learned to love Jesus and learned about life and learned about football. I traded in hockey gear to play football for the first time. And so there's a lot that I owe to Texas. My brother still lives there now, but I don't have any extended family that's still there. Okay. And my region for work is actually out in the Northeast in New England. So I've kind of like gotten back to my actual roots a little bit, although with not enough sleep or one too many drinks, I might slip into a Southern accent every once in a while.
I love it. Okay, I want to talk about your role right now with Notre Dame, this job you've had for several years. But can we talk about this?
We don't need to.
I mean, for folks listening to this as a podcast, I'm sorry. I asked Eric and Tyler. Tyler basically said, just ask Eric. And Eric said, I think that Bob would be okay with it. So tell us about the pregame routine.
Yeah, so that was actually first shared on YouTube as a video called Bob Morton Rages Against Satan. And I think that was just somebody who knew that I had become a pastor and decided to share that. Listen, there are a lot of people that do a lot of things to like get crowds excited. This was something that I had done, but I really compare it to like if you go to a drag race and those cars go out there and burn rubber at the beginning just to get their tires ready for a race. This is what I needed to get ready, right? So I would finish yelling and screaming at the fans and the band folks who were down there and stomping, and I would turn around and realize that I hadn't taken a breath in a good like 15-20 seconds. And so like I would be seeing stars a little bit. It was kind of like I got that first hit already out of the way, and then it was kind of game time. So I just had that clock ticking down to that moment, and that was kind of the end of my pregame routine after for years, having a player, a teammate, a friend, a brother, James Bent would go with me and pray on the other side of the field. And then I'd come back and scream at the fans. We kind of had a thing.
All right. Comment from TP Adam says, best and worst moment at Notre Dame.
Best and worst moment. Yeah. I think the two that I think of, and I'm just going to stick with football.
Yes.
Because you guys don't know me well enough. I don't need to be going all personal on you, but best moment for me, it's the hardest place I ever played, the loudest place I ever played, and just kind of the greatest moment. When we went down to Knoxville, Tennessee, and we won that game with Ty Willingham, the moment that I remember, and actually. This is something that I'm kind of proud of. This is my honorary 4-year monogram for the Notre Dame marching band. I don't play an instrument. I've never played an instrument. I'm not musical at all. But I shared this story that we went down to Knoxville, Tennessee. I think we were up like 17 to 10, which ended up being the final score. Or maybe we were up 14-10. And in the third quarter, Tennessee had just scored and the place was going bonkers. Mm-hmm. Like Brady Quinn is 5 feet in front of me calling a play. And hand to God, I have no idea what play he's calling. I've never heard anything that loud in my life. And all of a sudden, the third quarter goes to the fourth quarter, and the entire arena gets quiet and the Notre Dame band, not the full band, but just like the 100 members or the 70 members that traveled to Knoxville, played Crazy Train, which they do every game. But it was just a really small like ensemble playing Crazy Train. And there was something about that moment that like all of the crazy kind of hillbillies around Knoxville went silent and were like, I know that song. And when we came out for the fourth quarter, the arena had lost all of its home field energy. We drove down, we got ourselves a field goal, we hung on to win 17-10. And I just think back to that moment where if we were already in the fourth quarter when it was going crazy, I don't know that I would have been able to get back into the game. Like I could not think, but our band played, it cleared the air, and we were able to take it. My worst moment was another game. One of the few people in Notre Dame history that never beat Boston College, but played them several times. They just beat us every time. And Brady Quinn talked about this a couple of years ago, so I'm super happy that he still remembers this. But I was playing center, and Matthias Kiwanuka was out on the edge. And I set left, and the nose guard left. And Matthias Kiwanuka didn't stay on the left tackle. He didn't come inside to the left guard. He came all the way inside and hit me just in the ear hole, lifted me up, placed me in Brady's lap, and somehow the not super mobile Brady Quinn was able to escape and like just throw the ball out of bounds. But Lord have mercy, I have not been off the ground for that long unless I was on an airplane. But I was manhandled, and to watch that play over and over and over again the day after the game. Like, I mean, Mike Denbrock's the offensive coordinator now, but he let me have it. We had practiced this front that they ran, and I was not ready. Matthias Kiwanuka took me to the woodshed that day.
What do you say to Brady after that? Like, oh, my bad, bro. Like, what do you do?
No, I was like, hey, good job getting rid of that one. And you just kind of move on. Like, it's going to be bad, but you've got a game to play, and you can't take the time to go find your jockstrap, man. You just got to play the rest of the game without it.
I love it. What a great question by TP Adam, by the way. I love that, Bob. Look, great story. All right, so you've been working at Notre Dame in development for the past several years, and folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video. Subscribe to the Blue and Gold YouTube channel for more content. We're going to dive into Miami, Notre Dame in just a few moments. But yeah, tell us about your job, that role, and then of course, you've been doing video content with Inside ND Sports again, which On3 acquired that. On3 acquired Rivals, and Inside ND Sports is a part of Rivals, and now they're a part of Blue and Gold. Those two guys, and we inherited Bob as well. So I'm super pumped about. Just worked out perfect.
Let me go ahead and smash those kind of two things together to keep it quick. 7 years ago, came back to the university, started working in development. I work with a small group of families of alumni, parents, friends of the university, and just try and be their guy on campus and help them get connected with the Notre Dame mission. I help them find ways to invest their time, their talent, and their treasure to make a difference for Notre Dame today and in the years and generations to come. Along with coming back to Notre Dame, was able to reestablish relationships. I had kind of been a off-the-record source for Eric for years if he had any O-line questions. I've had some decent takes. I've had some really bad ones. If you ever want to ask Eric about my initial take on Quentin Nelson, needless to say, I'm very happy that's not on camera because I would have probably been out of this job. I never would have gotten hired to do anything like this if my initial reaction to Quentin Nelson was ever on air. But yeah, he started giving me an opportunity to kind of to get online and read and react, kind of just being a color guy and inside the locker room type guy, and have really enjoyed that. I kind of have my 3-point stance that I send the families that I work with, which is my 3 keys of the upcoming game, and 3 things to take away from last week's game that I've just kind of written for like my 105 families. And so being able to put some words and videos to that has been a lot of fun over the last few years.
All right, love it. We're going to talk about the game in just a moment. But first, I'll let you know that this episode is brought to you by ESQ, which is seen on all your favorite Notre Dame players and coaches and founded by Notre Dame alum Ga Wang. ESQ is your go-to spot for the best handmade custom suits, sport coats, tuxedos, shirts, and more. ESQ's master tailors combine next-level craftsmanship with the finest fabrics to deliver a fit that's built just for you. Now with showrooms both downtown Chicago and in Winnetka, book your custom fitting at esqclothing.com. Mention Blue and Gold at your appointment and receive 10% off your entire purchase. And while we're at it, let's do a season kickoff sale with 20% off all online ready-to-wear items, including ESQ's award-winning bamboo dress shirt and their new luxury dress tee. Use code KICKOFF, all one word, KICKOFF, and get 20% off all online items through September 6th. That's esqclothing.com. Okay, so for folks watching this on YouTube, I saw this picture of Marcus Freeman on their website. I was like, that picture looks super familiar. I tweeted this 3 years ago. And so Freeman's rocking ESQ there. Little do I know. And there's the picture. So ESQ, I love it. You didn't ask for permission for the photo, but now you have it. And I saw that and I could have, that was awesome. That was absolutely awesome. So esqclothing.com. That was Marcus Freeman. And the bald head, that's Chris O'Leary right there. Freeman Kami taking a picture of him. That was at Peyton Bowen's game in your old neck of the woods. That was Denton Geyer.
Yeah,
Notre Dame did not end up signing Peyton Bowen in that 2022 recruiting class. All right, let's talk about Notre Dame Miami.
Let's do it.
How are you feeling about the game? Notre Dame's a 2.5-point favorite according to BetMGM. I'll just kind of give you a softball wherever you want to take this. How are you feeling about the matchup between these two teams?
Yeah, I probably feel better about the matchup than I did against Texas A&M at the beginning of last year.
Why is that?
I think that last year I felt good about our quarterback situation, though unproven, but I felt like we had question marks along the offensive line. We were bringing in some new guys to play multiple positions at the beginning of the year across the offensive line. We were going to be doing a first-time starter at center and at left and right guard and at left tackle, and that left tackle was a true freshman. Like, there were just a lot of, like, that's hard against any SEC defense, let alone an Elko defense.
Yeah.
And so I felt good that Riley could get out of pressure, but I just didn't know where our points were going to come from. And so I just felt like maybe, the 12th man in College Station was gonna kind of swing things in their favor. I feel better about this team because I think this is one of the deepest teams we've had in modern Notre Dame history. I mean, you can go back, I'd say in the mid 90s and earlier and maybe talk about deep teams there. But in terms of the depth of, the second and third layers of the depth chart being potential starters against opponents that we're going to play, or they would be starters for those teams, and yet they're just biding their time on the depth chart to make their hay when their sun shines. I'm just excited at the strength of almost every position group. And so, a couple of question marks. You got a question mark at quarterback. Are you going to have somebody that can stay calm and just run the offense? There's no reason why we shouldn't be able to pass the ball better than we did early last year, regardless of who the quarterback was going to be. I don't have a lot of concerns for interior defensive line. I thought that there were times, as great as Howard Cross was at Notre Dame and now is on his 53-man roster for Cincinnati, I thought there were games that Donovan Heinisch simply was an X factor at getting to the quarterback. Having Jason Onye come back puts Rubio as being able to play both those positions in a backup position. We've not been able to rotate through two full defensive lines, and I don't know how long. And so I just don't see a lot of weaknesses on this team. But week one, against a transfer portal type Miami team, is always difficult. So I feel better than I did against A&M, but I'm not putting any big money on this game.
Yeah, I feel you. The offensive line, obviously, that's your position, and and talking to Eric, just to let people behind the curtain a little bit. For the first time, it was Friday. Like, obviously, I was very familiar with like and just like watching Eric and Tyler, have you on their
Right.
podcast and their show from the peripheral for years. But it was Friday when Eric was like, "Hey, I got an idea for you. Why don't you look at Bob Morton?" And then Monday, I talked to Bob on the phone. I said, "Bob, it's the first time we've ever talked, but do you want to be best friends?" And Bob said yes. And here we are. And Bob, we're doing the post-game show, me, you, and Eric.
That's as far as I know. I mean, I'm doing it with Eric. If you're coming to the party too, I'm happy.
You're going to be at the game, right?
Yeah, I'll be down in Miami.
I will be down at Miami. So that we will get a little selfie, tweet that bad boy out. Okay, where was I going with this?
You were talking about me being an offensive lineman, Eric.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. There was a reason I brought the little context up, but I don't remember. Oh, yeah. Eric was like, "Dude, you're gonna love his offensive line insight." So let's talk about the unit that's going to be protecting CJ Carr. Man, I'm going to throw a lot at you because I'm really excited for your takes here. Knapp sticking at left tackle when a lot of people think that he's a guard at the next level. Do you like keeping him at left tackle? Thoughts on Absher and Lambert battle for right guard? Absher seems like the safer choice for now as a great run blocker. But if you watch his high school tape, you don't see pass sets. He isn't right. It was outside of Charlotte. I went to his high school. I mean, it was just like a wing T offense. Like he just goes forward every single play. He's an absolute
mauler. You're right.
Mauler. Yep. Lambert, more of a tackle, higher upside guy. Like, thoughts on that? And then, if you want to talk about Craig or Wagner or Shrouth, the floor is yours, my friend.
Yeah, I mean, let's go left to right, right? So I am a really big fan of Anthony Knapp. But I will say at the end of last year, one of my takes was don't be surprised to see Anthony Knapp playing guard or center. I mean, he has been able to do both. Before he moved out to left tackle last year, he had time repping both of those things. And so I thought he would be kind of vying for that. And we would see the emergence of another tackle. I thought maybe you moved Neil Wagner over to the left. Garby Lambert comes in. Was there a chance that, Will Black was going to come in a little bit heavier in the haunches than he did? It's really hard to do, but Anthony Knapp did it last year. So I think what you're going to see is a Joe Rudolph offensive line, which is pretty awesome that he's really developed an identity, which is we're going to put the best five guys out there. And it may be a combination that no, commentary person, no analyst, no former
like Knapp last year.
Lineman, like it didn't make sense to me. And yet you look at what he did against an SEC pass rush, and even in areas that he needed to improve, he was able to get out there and get the job done. So I think he's going to do a great job at left tackle. I think he was the safest option out there, though I am surprised that he didn't maybe get pushed out or pushed in, I guess, to really shore up one of the interior line positions.
You think it's like, if it's not broke, don't fix it? Like, it's like, you don't, why replace all that experience? Like, you think that's like, why would you? Because if you're going to replace him with someone else's, it would be someone else's first time out at left tackle.
100%, right? And but it's one of those things like, is he one of your best five? Yes.
Yeah.
If you have two surefire tackles that are in your best five and Anthony Knapp, well, then maybe putting Anthony Knapp at guard makes him your best five. I think, don't forget too, I mean, your best lineman is out until October,
100%.
Right?
Yep.
And so if Charles is going to, and he can play left tackle too, but he is an absolute monster.
Well, he was. The only reason Knapp was the left tackle is because Charles got hurt last year.
And so I think that they're looking at what Knapp did last year and his growth, Charles coming and being unbelievable at the end of the season inside. Ashton had such high expectations last year before the injury.
Yep.
And then you've got, Billy Shrouth, who's now on the left side, but like he's kind of filling in over there, and you've got the competition on the right. I love Neil Wagner is just going to get better and better. And Neil Wagner doesn't get beat. Sometimes he gets pushed back a little bit too much, but I would expect him to be a little bit stronger there forming the pocket. I think the big question is what are you going to see at right guard? I think what you're going to want to see by the end of game one, and this is not to say he beats him out. I think in the third and fourth quarter, you want Sullivan Absher to be in the game, because that means the end of Miami is going to be like the end of Texas A&M last year, which is we are going to run however we want to right at them. And if we're going to have just a run dominant fourth quarter, Sullivan's your guy. Like that's who you're going to put in there. I think Gerby, by the end of the season, his 5-star talent has proven to be real, and he's going to bring that on. I think he's going to be impossible to keep off the field.
Interesting.
But for week one, I do think you'll see both of them. And I think both of them could play every snap, but you want in the fourth quarter it to be Sullivan, because that means we're running for 250 with whoever's in the backfield.
So would you like to see Sullivan start and just play him, or are you in favor at all of a rotation or something? What do you think? Because you usually don't like to rotate offensive linemen.
Yeah, but if there's any lineman that's okay with the rotation, it's a guy who made his career, his fourth year at Notre Dame, going series by series, left guard, center, right guard, out, left guard, center, right guard, out. I think that it really, comes down to what kind of cohesion do they have with their center and right tackle. And if both of them are trusted, then there's an easy transition with a 1A and 1B, right? You don't want to just put somebody in there to put them in there. You don't want people to be competing and battling in the middle of a game. But if they both know they have a role to play, and if you view them as interchangeable, it can be done, and it has been done and done well. I'm a fan of Gerby Lambert. Watching his progression, what he did in the games he was in last year, how he improved from the beginning to end of season, how he, took care of himself in the offseason and improved.
Battling back from the injury too.
Yeah, like that's who I would say I want to see on the field. That being said, man, like get me in the fourth quarter and give me that wing T guard who's just going to go ahead and make the life miserable of the defensive tackle and the linebacker in front of him.
Interesting. What have you thought about Joe Rudolph? Like Notre Dame's had, just thinking the O-line coaches, I mean, there was like 3 in 3 years, right? It went from Quinn to Harry to Joe, if I'm remembering that. I think like Joe Alt had a new O-line coach each year, if I'm remembering that correctly. So yeah, just curious about your thoughts overall about Joe Rudolph. Like obviously he's been recruiting really well, but yeah, what do you think about him?
Yeah, I met Joe like his first or second week on campus. Had an opportunity to meet with him. He just kind of came to a Legacy Network event of former players, and I was able to kind of shoot the breeze with him and just kind of say like, what's your vibe in terms of like what's your style, right? Like, are you wanting to build up guards and have them long, like have first, second, third string guards and have them progress that way, build up tackles, like everybody's got their position. And he's like, listen, I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a top 5 guy. I will always be a top 5 guy. And to be honest with you, I didn't love it, right? Like it's a really easy thing to say, but it's hard to really see in practice. I think Joe Rudolph proved himself to be, worth every bit of what it took to get him here by what happened last year. The fact that you can be riddled with injuries going into and throughout the season and be able to plug and play guys, every single guy was ready to play their role, and that's on the offensive line coach. So, I just think that he's really kind of put his stamp on this program, and I hope we can keep him for a long time.
Bob, what are your thoughts about Taco Bell?
I mean, everything's great after midnight. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know that I'd eat Taco Bell before 2 a.m., but if I'm up at 2 a.m., you're damn right I'm going to eat some Taco Bell.
Thing is, like, I'm someone who's been to Taco Bell literally in the 7 a.m. hour and then every other hour of the day. I've been there.
Yeah.
You go after like 10 o'clock, there's a decent chance that line is just so long.
That's fair.
So that's the only thing. Primetime Taco Bell is like 5 or 6 o'clock when it's like the drive-through is nice and slow.
I'm gonna say, Mike, you're vying for a position of my best friend, and if the highlight of your wisdom to me is to get to Taco Bell by 5 p.m., I don't think we're gonna survive this. I think it's gonna be a really short-lived best friendship.
Yeah, look, I love all fast foods. I mean, I love McDonald's, Taco Bell. Yeah. So if there's something else that you enjoy,
Yeah, listen, I
we
married an
can bond over
Italian
that.
woman. I married an Italian woman, and if I said no to
Mm.
pasta and meatballs, I would not be here today. So that's what I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to let her do the cooking.
That's a good choice. All right. Sorry to get off topic there. Is there another thing on the O line that I wanted to ask you about, or was there a comment here? Yeah, one more thing from Herrick before we move on. Herrick said, "Who brings the best energy to the team this year as like a teammate player? Like, who brings it at offensive line specifically, like a la Pat Coogan?" Um, hmm, I don't know if they're. I don't know. I mean, I covered all of these guys as recruits, but I
Yeah,
don't
yeah.
know if there's one that has Pat Coogan energy or Bob Morton energy. You know,
Well, but here's what I would say. Right, is like my fourth and fifth year. I yelled at the fans, but that's not the energy I brought into the O line room,
okay.
right? My offensive line, my fourth year was Ryan Harris at left tackle, Dan Santucci at left guard, John Sullivan at center, Dan Stevenson at right guard, me rotating in there, and then at right tackle we had Mark Lavore, and then my fifth year we had Sam Young, and I took the fifth spot at right guard there, and like we knew who we needed to be and we got stuff done, right? Like we knew what our job was and we went out there to be the best we could. And we didn't need, we didn't need some kind of like inspirational leader. And I think that last year you needed Pat Coogan. You needed someone to say, "Hey, the wheels should fall off this wagon with everything that's gone on, but we are simply going to will ourselves to win after win after win after win." And it's nice to think that you're always going to need someone like that, but you don't necessarily have to have that. When the chips are down, there will be someone who knows how to motivate the guys, whether it's the experience of Anthony Knapp and Neil Wagner, whether it's somebody inside that just has that something that is the quietest guy on the O line, but when he whispers, "Let's frickin' go," everybody feels like there's someone screaming in their ear. Like it may not be Tommy Reese on camera saying, "Do your job," but
Is that what he said? Is that what he said, Bob?
uh, there was an ellipsis in between "do your"
Yeah,
and "job,"
there you go.
and so I think that this will be a different kind of team, but without knowing how these guys have been forged in the fire already, there's no telling who's going to elevate themselves to kind of be the tip of that arrow when they really need to get going.
A question from Cameron. He says, "Bob, how close do you think the QB1 battle was between Minchie and Carr? And do you think there will be design situation packages for Minchie and Carr?" So if you just wanted to comment generally on the quarterback battle, I've said my piece at it ad nauseum on this page. And then your thoughts on, a Minchie package. What do you think
Yeah.
about these things?
Yeah, I think this was a closer battle than I like, because I thought the battle really was going to be between Steve Angeli and CJ Carr. And when
Hmm.
Steve took his talents to Syracuse, I felt like, okay,
Immense talent, by the way.
I'm sorry.
Immense talent. It's like a running joke around here that
Oh
I'm
no.
I'm the Steve Angeli guy. I was a big fan of him and his family. But go ahead.
Yeah, I love Steve. I thought that there were times early last year that Steve gave us a better chance to put a better product on the field.
Hmm.
But I think that Steve at Notre Dame last year is a 9 or 10 win quarterback. He's not a playoff quarterback. We needed Riley to do what he did in order to get us, over the hump in the playoff. But we also needed Steve Angeli to come in and give us an offensive spark against Penn State, right? Like, do your job, and Steve did it really well. And so I want nothing but success for him at Syracuse unless it's playing us. And so I thought it was time to kind of coronate CJ Carr as the guy, because I thought I'd seen him, even his first spring game, I'd not seen anyone escape the pocket and look downfield that well in a long time. I thought he had the it that you want a quarterback to have. And I think that He probably had some areas where he was being a little aggressive and kind of gunslinger-esque. And Kenny Minchie, who I think was known for having a lower pass completion percentage, started putting together really good practices and started controlling this offense and started to gain kind of some confidence in the system. And so I would have loved, the third or fourth practice, it to be a quarterback's team. I think it says a lot about both guys that this battle went on as long as it did. And I think that you will see a situational package for Kenny Minchie throughout the rest of the year. But I don't think it's going to be like CJ Carr's looking over his shoulder. I think there's going to be a very firm, this is what we're going to use him for. And he's going to bring value in that way as kind of like a curveball to CJ's fastball.
Yeah, there's so many different ways to look at it, like how close the battle was. It's like, okay, Kenny, I think, exceeded everyone's expectations in fall camp. Yeah. Media, the staff, fans, like all of it. Like people like that have dogged media about Minchie not winning the job has so much of it's been bizarre. Because I'm like, you do understand that the battle was just like we talked about Minchie more because he emerged so much. Like he just did. But it's like, okay, so there's that side of it. It's like, does it being the battle being so close speak more about Kenny, or is it maybe did CJ not have the best camp? Like is it a little bit of both? Like I think those are all fair things.
And I don't think we're gonna know until sometime in the second quarter, right? Like I think that Coach Denbrock's going to come out protecting the pace early, protecting the ball early.
Yeah, let's go there. What do you expect from Denbrock? How he's going to coach up CJ, and I think maybe a little bit about Mike Denbrock, maybe just a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, yep. So yeah, when I came in as a freshman, my interior offensive line coach was John McDonnell, but in the same room, we also had a tackle tight end coach, and that was Mike Denbrock. So before he went out to receivers and then became an offensive coordinator before he, came back to Notre Dame for a third time. Yeah. Long time ago, he was a tackle tight end coach with Bob Morton in the room. And while I know that we've healed from this, he's probably not thrilled that I've moved from Eric's show to yours. He had a nickname that he called me when I was a player. He called me Quote-A-Minute Morton because every time they would allow me to talk to the media, I would talk too much and they would restrict me from talking to the media for 2-3 weeks. And then I would go out there again for a week or two and I would say something I shouldn't have said and they'd restrict me again. So yeah, loose lips, Quote-A-Minute Morton is now here.
What is that, quote a minute?
Yes. Because I was handing out quotes like it was my job for all the reporters in the room.
What would you say that you're not supposed to say?
As an interior offensive lineman who aren't exactly known for being media darlings.
What would you say that you're not supposed to?
Well, I don't know. I would talk about if there was a sack that was given up, and I would just say, yeah, there was a miscommunication on that play between me and this person. And we've really got to get that ironed out. And I had to learn that it's okay for me to take responsibility. It's also okay to say we had a miscommunication across the offensive line. It's kind of a faux pas to say I share responsibility with this person who's not in the room. And so it's just little things that I had to learn. Some ways they were probably being a little persnickety, but you know what? Like I said, we've healed from it. I'm not scarred at all because I still spout off to the media whenever I get the chance.
This is kind of a side note, but my primary job at Blue and Gold, believe it or not, folks, it's not the YouTube channel as much as you guys see my face. I spent so much time working on YouTube stuff today, but it is recruiting coverage. That's my primary job. And it's such a big thing now. These kids are getting interviewed to sometimes freshman and sophomore in high school, right? You probably weren't getting calls for interviews and stuff when you were in high school. So I feel like the kids now are just so much more media trained that they know exactly what to say and what not to say because they've already been doing it for years. It's kind of a side note, but that's what came to my mind when you said that. The kids now, they're just so media trained. They know exactly what to say.
I think there's a lot of negativity or there's a lot of things that are negative about how early some of these things are starting. The one thing I would say that's positive is I think young people are recognizing that everything they do and post and make public is a part of their brand.
Oh,
And
yeah.
so you have a lot of brand aware young men who are not making the same mistakes that a lot of teammates of mine might have made in terms of what they've posted or what they said about things that kind of just
Yeah.
are in the dark corners of the internet now.
Yeah, there's a lot of good that can come with it, with a lot of bad as well. It's
Yep.
just kind of is what it is there. Did we cover everything? I think I actually got you distracted there, but yeah, going back to Denbrock,
Oh,
what
yeah.
you
So
expect
about the
from
game,
him.
right? I think he's going to want to kind of make sure that he can kind of control the pressure that's on CJ Carr. I expect to see some really creative ways of getting the ball into the hands of people you want to get it into. I think you're going to see a short passing game. I think you're going to see, kind of screens and draws. You're going to see, not just, we're not going to run A gap power with our running backs, first, second, third down punt. But I think you're going to see some safe things with in the first 15 plays, some chosen aggression. That first 15 plays is really unique because they know what plays they're going to be running for the first 15 plays, unless a given down and distance comes up right now. And so you don't have to worry about the communication as much. You don't have to worry about what the other team's going to do. You have these 15 plays that are kind of like jabs setting up haymakers later in the game. I really expect, Mike to do a great job of throwing those jabs in a way that keeps CJ calm, keeps the blood pressure down, and finds ways to get specifically 4 and 24 established in the
Yeah.
backfield, even if that's a swing pass or a screen pass, or just get them the ball with a little bit of space. And I think we'll be happy with the results.
What would you say is a successful night for CJ, whether that's like stat sheet or, just some kind of, you know, coach speak, but true, just like take care of the football. Like that's all you need to do. Just
Yeah.
don't make
Yeah.
the big mistake.
I mean, truly, I think that if CJ Carr gets out of there without a turnover, I don't think this game is close. I think that I don't think that the studs we have all over the offense are going to be held in check by anybody for an extended period of time. And so if we can keep from giving the ball over to Miami, I think that's the key to a more comfortable win coming out of South Florida. So my biggest thing is, like, what's his ratio going to be of touchdowns accounted for to interceptions? Not even throwing touchdowns, right? But what does he set up with his play for a touchdown versus how many turnovers he has? That's number one. I thought last year we were at our best if Riley was throwing for 175, running for 60, right? Like, just keep the offense moving. Your running back's going to do a lot of it. I would be happy with that. 175 throwing, maybe 25 running to get out of trouble, keep the chains moving. But I do think there's going to be a reliance on everybody around you. So maybe the passing number goes up because we can spread the ball safely around laterally and make some people miss.
Someone just said that all the talking heads are picking the Hurricanes. What do you say, Bob? You got a score prediction or anything?
I don't like doing score predictions just because I
Give me
feel like
something.
I feel like Doctor Strange when I look at football games. I can see so many different eventualities, right?
But more than one out of 14 million where Notre Dame wins, I'm guessing.
Yes, yeah. I mean, I do. I think I see a lot more ways that this falls in Notre Dame's favor in terms of the development of talent, the really strong. I just think going into a game with the defensive backfield we have and the linebackers we have really kind of mitigates a little bit of what Miami wants to do offensively. And if we can get any better of a pass rush, which on paper we're going to have, it could be a hard night for Carson Beck, who's a gunslinger himself. So I'll say Notre Dame by 10, 27-17 is just my, if you're putting me against a wall, Mike, is
Okay.
what I'm going to say.
Okay. Folks, if you're just joining us, Bob Morton, follow him at Bob Morton. You just joined Twitter in 2008, so you were able to scoop up at Bob
Literally.
Morton right away. I
I
love
think I
that.
grabbed it and didn't post anything for a few years, and it's actually been a few years since I've posted anything. So, as I said, I had to dust it off a little bit today.
Well, yeah. Don't trust cars that have passenger side gas tanks. That is the content that you would get from Bob Morton in March of 2021. But
And
yeah,
there's no promise that that's not going to be the content we revert to again.
and
Okay?
look at the first tweet since. It's got 9,000 views. I mean, look at you. I think you've picked up like 100 followers today.
Yeah,
I checked earlier.
thank you for that.
So you guys, let's get him to 500 in the next 10 minutes. We got 250 people watching right now. Go follow Bob Morton on Twitter. Let's get him up to 500 and then just watch you climb there. So yeah, Bob Morton is joining us here at Blue and Gold. He's going to be doing this show every Tuesday night. It's going to be 8 p.m. Eastern time, but you guys know how I roll. Sometimes we got to move it a day, or this tonight is started at 8:30, but yeah, Tuesday 8 p.m. will be the normal time. And then Bob will be doing, I would say, at least like half, maybe a little bit more of our post-game shows as well. And then I think Robbie Toma might do some as well. So it'll be, I think, a little bit more by committee this year for the post-game show. But yeah, it's going to be the same great content that you expect at Blue and Gold. So make sure you follow Bob Morton. Let me refresh and see what we got here. I mean, we got 2 in a minute, so we're probably not going to hit 500. But hey, we got a couple more. So folks, please hit the thumbs up on this video and subscribe to the channel for more content if you have not done so yet. I think that pretty much covers the Miami discussion. K-Mac asked this. How was the academic challenge at Notre Dame? I mean, you're there for 5 years.
Yeah, I was there for 5 years, graduated in 4. Nowadays, these guys are graduating in 3, which I think actually lends itself to us hanging on to talent a little bit longer, right? Steve Angeli stuck around for a little bit longer because he was going to get his Notre Dame degree and still have 2 years to go live the football dream somewhere else. I think that's something where Notre Dame can win pretty regularly. Get that Notre Dame degree before you go out. Academic challenge is real. I mean, you can't fake your way through a lot of classes at Notre Dame. I think it does, it's always good to be one of the first people who gets to select classes, as athletes do, just to make sure you really get your choice of professors and whatnot. I will always say that I succeeded in the classroom more in the middle of football season than I did whenever we were off. I liked the regiment. I liked the structure. I've always done better in terms of that. And so, in some ways, having the stress of a football season really kept my ducks in a row more than I allowed myself to keep them in a row when I had more time on my hands. So very real thing. But the kind of people that we're recruiting to Notre Dame are ones that don't back away from that particular challenge. And they're not only leaders on the football field, they're going to be leaders in this world. And so that we're really proud of how we have and how we continue to have players step up and do great things in the classroom.
Not only are we making big moves at Blue and Gold, bringing in Bob Morton and Robbie Toma, who, by the way, like you said, this is Denbrock's 3rd stint. The stint prior to his current one, coached, he's just coaching some receivers, Toma. And before that, his first stint working with the offensive line and Bob. So I think that is awesome, by the way. So maybe someday we will hire for YouTube content someone who is in Denbrock's 3rd stint at Notre Dame. Maybe
it could happen.
Listen, I'm like 5 years. In 2030, Steve Angeli is going to be working for Blue and Gold. Clip it, ship it, save it. That's my prediction. 5 years from
your
now.
mouth to God's ears, my friends. Like, that would be wonderful.
It'd be so much fun. The stories. So this was an article. Okay. Anyways, I was saying that Blue and Gold, we've raised our game. On3 has at the national level. Brett McMurphy was a hire a few weeks ago, which is pretty neat. Headline here. We're not going to talk about this article. You can find this at on3.com. But the headline, 20-team Big Ten in 2030, which I saw someone else say, surprised this Maryland AD didn't say 24 teams, semicolon, Notre Dame will not budge on independence. So Brett McMurphy sources are just like, no matter what happens, Notre Dame is just, they have everything they need, like access to the college football playoff, the NBC deal. Like Notre Dame does not, if Notre Dame has to join a conference, they will join a conference at some point, but they don't have to. So Bob, for my first discussion with you, where do you stand on Notre Dame and its independence?
I mean, independence is as important to Notre Dame as their Catholic faith. That's what was in the article, and that's what I would say. I think that we will do absolutely anything in our power to maintain independence. I think that we have strengthened the ACC in other sports because that helps Notre Dame maintain our football independence. I think we have stepped up to the negotiating table. I think that when you look at Notre Dame hanging on to independence years down the road, you cannot forget that Jack Swarbrick was on the committee that for the 12-team playoff said Notre Dame can't get a seed higher than 5th. That settled everybody down because it was a point of contention that Notre Dame could get to 1 through 4 without a conference championship. So Jack just said, then we'll be 5th. And everybody calmed down. And then the next year, Pete Bavacqua, in his first year on the job, goes in there and says, hey, by the way, you want to go to 16 teams? We're fine with that, but we get a bye if we're 1 through 4. And everybody's like, shoot, all right, sounds good. Not to mention, across the entire country, football programs are thinking, hey, maybe we've done this wrong, because in the first year of this 12-team playoff, Notre Dame doesn't have to split $20 million that they earned from the playoff because it's capitalism at its true and finest. We have to do well in order to get those payouts. We don't share with a conference. We're not scared of a year where we may be down. And so I think that it's become more appealing for programs what Notre Dame is doing, and teams would rather desire to emulate us rather than try and force us out. I think another thing to talk about is the NBC deal. I think for a lot of years, people thought we were making more money comparatively than we were. There were years that, Big Ten Network, SEC Network, even Big 12 Network was bringing in more dollars per school to every school than we were pulling in from NBC. The renegotiated NBC deal really flattened that. It would have been really hard for us to maintain independence if we were shorted $30 million a year from the lowest level Big Ten school. I think Notre Dame is really special because of their independence, and I think we have a special pull within college athletics, within the TV deals of college football, because Fox has a deal with the Big Ten to put on a Big Ten team every Saturday. NBC says we don't need a conference team. We're going to put on Notre Dame every Saturday. And so I think we're worth more than an individual conference school. And I think that that's going to be the risk is going to be rewarded in the future as well.
Yeah. It's so weird now because NBC did start doing some Big Ten stuff last year, and then isn't it the SEC or CBS is now doing some Big Ten games too? Am I remember that correctly?
Yeah. Everybody wants to get in because you've got so many games that don't make it to the top matchup. Yeah. You want these good teams to be on TV. NBC's just like, hey, we'll take all these tier 2 or 3 games as well, but our flagship is going to be the Notre Dame game, unless it's a week that they're playing, for whatever reason, they're going to be, on ABC. And so I just think that we're carrying the TV weight of an entire conference with NBC. And I think that we have to continue to do our part with excellence on the field and the product off the field to be able to make it worthwhile to them, but they also make it worthwhile for us to stay independent.
428 followers now, so maybe by in 24 hours from now we should blow past that 500 follower mark. Okay, couple quick things before we get you out of here. Jordan said, Mike, do you have a B&G promo code? I think we just have, if you just go to blueandgold.com, you don't need a promo code. You can just sign up for $1 for 7 days, or if you go, I'll tweet it out, or you can scroll through my Twitter, but there is a sign-up opportunity where you can get a free year of The Athletic as well. And again, I've tweeted that out within the past week or two, so you can scroll my Twitter. All right, last thing before I get you out of here. Bob, your thoughts on, I asked this to Robbie the other day.
Okay.
Notre Dame rivalries.
Yeah.
Where do you stand? Who do you hate the most? I always describe this as when I got married and I picked my best man, I also had in mind who would pick me as their best man, right? I got married first in my friend group, so I had to pick like who do I think would pick me. I feel like it's similar with rivalries. Like whoever you say is your number one rivalry, you want to be their number one rivalry too. Like I think Notre Dame fans hate Michigan the most, but like for your Michigan's third or fourth biggest rival, right? But
Yeah.
behind Ohio State, Michigan State. So I'm just curious your thoughts about Notre Dame rivalries. Like obviously there's the USC one, but is there maybe one that's more personal for you? You mentioned Boston College earlier as a team, that you didn't get to beat.
Yeah, I would say a big difference for me in what I think is a great
And
rivalry.
you're from that area.
Yeah, that's true. I would say big difference for me in what is the greatest or best or most venomous rivalry and which one I hated the most. So for me, the team I hated playing the most that we played every year when I was in college is Michigan State. They were never the best team we played, but brother, I just could like it. I just hated playing those guys. I hated playing in their stadium. I hated when they came to our stadium. Like I just got sick to my stomach having to look at that green and white, no matter where it was. You know what I mean? Like that was just a hatred to me. Again, not a great rivalry, but for me, I just hated it. I always had a lot of respect. I understand that fans don't respect each other between Notre Dame and Michigan. But listen, when I was there, all the players on both teams were recruited by both schools. We both had, longer than 100-year traditions. We were both schools built on traditions. Notre Dame's stadium was made in the image of the big house. Like there's so many things that are kind of tied together that like there was just a respect for the guys who are across the line, even though we wanted to dominate them. It really sucks that what I think the greatest rivalry is I never got to win, and that's USC. The closest we got was 05 with the Bush push. And I know you're asking about rivalries because of, the conversations going on. I just would really, really like USC to stop playing scared in the media because Notre Dame's made it very, very clear from our head coach to our athletic director.
Mm-hmm.
There's a chance that the university president has said something like, listen, this rivalry, USC and Notre Dame, is good for football. It's good for college football. It's good for both of us. And you can say USC and UCLA matters, but it doesn't. You can't even sell that out. So the fact that USC doesn't want to play Notre Dame is just them running scared, which makes me happy in a sense because I'm growing to hate USC more and more by the day. And I think that's well worth my time. But I don't want them to get so scared of Notre Dame that they run away. And maybe they just need a coach who's a little more willing to, try and beat the Irish rather than run away from them.
Whether you are watching live with us, watching back, I will say not for people driving and listening to this as a podcast. Can everyone just give a round of applause for Bob Morton? And yeah, if you're driving, just keep your hands on the wheel.
Keep your hands on the wheel.
Unless you got like a self-driving Tesla, then I guess it's okay. But give a round of applause for Bob Morton for his first Blue and Gold YouTube appearance. Before I hit go live, I was like, all right, Bob, here we go. I don't know what to expect.
Yep, let's go deep end.
You absolutely crushed it. So I will see you hopefully on Sunday. I'll shoot you a text. We'll definitely figure that out. And you all can see myself, Eric, and Bob on this YouTube channel live right after the game. So really looking forward to that. If you have not done so yet, hit the thumbs up on this video, folks. And as always, we will catch you next time.
See you later.